Let's talk about sandbox style DMing. Hello everyone, and welcome back down here to the Gamer's Den with me, your host, Jordan, your master of lore and storyteller extraordinaire. Today's video was prompted by a comment from 28mm RPG. At least if I'm remembering that right, I'm doing this kind of off the top of my head. Apologize if I got that wrong, but the comment basically was on how to keep players on track video, and it was, why worry about controlling things? Why not just let the players develop the story on their own? And this style of DMing is basically just called sandbox DMing. You just have a sandbox, you have all the toys in it, and you just let the players go. Let them explore, let them do their own things, and make this a very player-driven kind of storytelling, which is certainly a thing that you can do. But, you know, like with anything else, there's pros to it and there's cons. There's advantages and disadvantages. We're going to talk about those in just a moment, but if you're new here to the channel, go on down there, hit the subscribe button, and become a regular member here at the Gamer's Den. Or if you've already gone on ahead and listed yourself on such an incredible roster of legendary heroes, then go on down to hit the like button and share the video far and wide. But now, let's talk about sandbox DMing, sandbox RPGs. So, what makes them different is that you have the setting, you have the world, you've populated it, but you don't really have a set story or goal in mind. In this case, it is very much going to be player driven. With you, the DM, storyteller, GM, whatever, you are going to be more reactionary. You're going to be reactionary based off of the NPCs being interacted with, what exactly the players have done, and taking into account the PC's personalities and what their goals might be over the course of all of this. And it's a lot of factors to really take in and keep in mind. The idea with this is that, you know, you're not railroading them. You're keeping them moving along. Now, some people would phrase it as not taking control of anything at all, but that's maybe not quite 100% right, because at a certain point, once the players have engaged the story, once they've started it, things are going to be progressing. Now, they may try to wash their hands of things and just walk away, just up and leave right in the midst of the story apropos of nothing other than players don't want to do it anymore. Which that's certainly an option, but when it comes to trying to maintain the feel that this is an immersive and living world, you're gonna be progressing things. Those people that they have gone out of their way to really piss off are going to come after them in most instances, or in one fashion or another at least, whether it's bounty hunters sending their own thugs or just pursuing litigious means of getting payback against them. There's lots of different options there. But again, that's kind of the beauty of things. The players can just up and decide they want to cut their losses and run. And then they're going to have this thing that's just following them, this force, this person that is just going to relentlessly pursue them while they try to fulfill other contracts, take on other jobs, or adopt whatever missions or causes might be at the forefront of their minds and really the centerpiece of their motivations. So this is one where you really have to be prepared, and you have to be very good at improvising and reacting to what the players are doing in a sensible manner. Now, a lot of this is still required even if you have a set story and goal in mind, but even more so here, you have to really be just quick on the draw, come up with ideas and names and personalities, motivations, right at the drop of a hat, because maybe the players go for something that you really didn't anticipate or think about creating beforehand. And so you'll have to come up with it fairly Johnny on the spot there. But the biggest advantage with this is that being that it's player driven, it's driven by player actions, they are going to be that much more invested in the story. They're going to be much more familiar with the history of this story because in many ways they were the catalyst for it. They were the catalyst and the driving factor for everything being kicked off. And, well, like with any good story, if Is this the most important moment of your character's life? If not, why aren't we hearing about that kind of a thing? In this case, this is going to be the most exciting, most important moment of the character's life. So it's going to be very engaging for them. And the fact that they set it off just really immediately invests a player pretty damn quick in my experience. Now, there is a drawback to that, however, in that new players are probably not going to engage with that quite so well, for the simple fact that, at least again in my experience, most new players tend to go about this in one of two ways. First being, what do? I don't really know what to do. And, you have to kind of encourage them and lead them along a little bit. Because on the one hand, they have the freedom to do anything, but on the other hand, at least if they're playing a really good character with trying to get a really good story going, depending on the motivations of the setting at least, they are going to react more or less sensibly in a way that the person would for the given setting. But the other option is that they just kind of start off going all murder hobo about things because I can do anything. The king's going by? I'm going to kill the king. And they'll get themselves neck deep into a very, very dangerous situation very quickly where it's possible you just end up having to kill the PCs. Although, just out and out killing PCs, especially PCs of new players, doesn't quite seem like it's not something I really enjoy doing. I try to find creative ways to get around that to keep a story moving forward. I actually made mention of it before, forget which episode it was, but basically using that example of a PC attacking and killing the king. Well, it would make sense that his personal guard are just going to walk up and start butchering people, right? Yeah, but on the other hand, that gives you an opportunity to really lean into things, and this is where your ability to think on your feet and creatively really comes into play. It comes into play because maybe now you kind of adapt and adjust things a little bit. Say that this is a lawful neutral or lawful evil styled kind of king, particularly lawful evil, where they're just iron-fisted, tyrannical. They're above the law, but they set the law, and that's why they're above it, because they dictate what the laws are. Their words are law. So, since they're a tyrannical figure, tyrannical figures always end up pissing somebody off along the way. They make people mad, they repress people, and with that iron grip, sure, they're holding on to some things, but little by little, things are just slipping out of their grasp. So, there's a rebellion going, there's a rebellion in place, and rather than just kill the PCs, they injure them, they maim them, they knock them out, but they bring them back alive for interrogation at the dungeons, because nobody's dumb enough to just haul off and attack the king with no plan. Clearly, these people have collaborators. There's a whole team of them. All the citizens saw them interacting with each other. So they're clearly all together, they're in league with one another, and they have to be in league with these rebellious cells. So they're going to be interrogated. And this is an opportunity for you to, one, instill in that new player that sense of, ooh, there are consequences for my actions. I am new. These people are highly experienced. The king is, of course, well guarded. Should have thought of that before, but now they've thought of that, their character is still alive, and now their plans move towards escape. And if they can't escape on their own, you still have a chance, because you can very easily say one of the NPCs in the dungeon there actually is in league with this rebellious faction. And so a prison break is staged. The prison break is staged, and they arrive, they start busting everybody out, and they free everybody, because all the prisoners scrambling everywhere just creates more chaos and confusion. The guards are having to fight everybody, and it provides a good cover for these people to escape. But this NPC that was in prison, he heard about these players. He's heard about their interrogation, and he's witnessed it in many instances. And so he's like, well, they're either so devout that they thought killing the king was right, or they're so crazy brave that and so incredibly dumb that they're going to be useful fodder for the rebellion anyways. If they're brave enough to just attack the king in broad daylight with no plan, well, clearly they're the kind of people with the courage that they really need. And so that they can really throw them at, even if it's just a random mission where these people are entirely expendable, the rebellion can use these folks. And this sets the players on a path where they have an option. They can either flee and still be wanted criminals being hunted down by the king's guard, the army, all these different bounty hunters, or they can join the rebellion and fight against them and have allies immediately right then and there, safe houses and a network of resources and NPCs that they can draw upon for an incredibly compelling story right out the gate there from a new player who made the mistake of attacking a powerful NPC with powerful guards in a sandbox setting, where all it really took was you thinking, do I really want to kill the players right here? What other options do I have? And you just build into it from there on. But, you know, again, like I said, this is a drawback of the sandbox setting, but every problem is an opportunity in disguise, and this can really help to create engaging stories that the players are immediately invested in because it's driven by their actions, noticeably. Now, again, more veteran players may have an easier time getting a story going, but it can still be an incredibly rewarding situation. I've run several sandbox-styled games and settings over the years, and they've been great. Absolutely a lot of fun. Now, there's certainly a lot more that could be gone into for it, but we're going to go ahead and wrap things up there for now. So, what did you think? Did you like today's video? Did you dislike it? Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below, and remember, hit those like or dislike buttons, and if you're new here to the channel, go on down there, hit the subscribe button, and become a regular member here at the Gamers Den. But with all that said, I've been your host, Jordan, your Master of Lore and Storyteller Extraordinaire. Thank you all so very much for your time, and you all have yourselves a good night.